What's going down, everybody? Welcome back to Videos by Kino, and today is Motivational Monday Parenting Edition. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. So today I have 10 tips for all you first-time parents out there, and for all you parents who are just out there struggling and probably need a little bit of advice. And now, before I start this episode, I want to go ahead and start by saying I myself am not a baby expert, nor am I a perfect parent. Everything that I am telling you today is based off of experience, based off things that I've seen, and just, the way that I parent. I have a child myself. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I know a lot of people who are going to be having babies soon, and I feel like it doesn't hurt to give a little bit of advice, especially for you guys out there who are worried that they won't be the best parent that they could be. I guarantee you're gonna be a fucking awesome parent. All you gotta do is have patience. We'll get into that. This isn't the perfect list. This is just a quick list that I came up with, 10 things that I think are important in parenting. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and start with my number one tip. And my number one tip for first-time parents would be patience. Babies can't speak, right? They cry when they have something wrong with them. They cry when they're hungry. Being patient and understanding your kids' cries is something that you're going to have to get used to. Also, you're going to have to get used to not having time for yourself, but that's not a bad thing. I feel like just because most of your time is going to be spent with them, I say it's not a bad thing because not only are you getting to be with your child, you're also going to learn how to do things with your child. You're going to have to adjust. Now, there are some parents who are not patient enough for this and who are like, what do I do? What do I do? And I would just say, you're going to learn that no matter what you do, your kid's not going to stop crying until you learn what it is that makes your child cry. Patience is key. Patience is very important. Make sure you guys stay patient. That's number one. When Ari was first born, I had a very bad temper, very impatient, just based off who I was. Very selfish, not really into giving my time to other people, but I definitely 110% had to learn it. And what was cool about it was I wanted to learn it because I didn't want to be the impatient dad who was just always angry all the time. And another thing that I guess I should bring up is these tips will help you become a better parent if you just keep working on them. Number 2 is talk to your baby. I know that some people think my baby doesn't understand what I'm saying. Don't baby talk your kid. Talk to them regularly. Tell them about your day. Ask them what they want to be in the future. Tell them about things that they could be, possibly. Tell them stories. Tell them about your life, where you came from. Just because they're babies doesn't mean they don't understand. They'll understand the concept of conversation, which will then create a kid who's not shy. They'll have good conversational skills because from infancy, they were spoken to like a regular human being, not I'm not saying don't do that, because of course do that. Any parent's gonna do that regardless if I say not to or to do it anyway, because they're babies. You cute little baby. Talk to your baby. Super good for them. They're going to eventually understand, and then they're going to know how to hold a conversation because you constantly spoke to them as a kid. Their brain develops faster. All right, number 3, be a good role model. Now, just because your baby can't talk or it seems that your baby doesn't understand what's going on, being a good role model from the get-go, not only will you just start getting used to being that, but your baby, like I said, regardless of what you think, your baby's watching you. They're with you more than anyone else in the world, especially during now COVID times. Your baby's stuck inside with you, so all it's knowing is you, the mom. If it has a brother or a sister, it's learning everything that it knows from its surroundings. So be a good role model. Don't do things that you wouldn't want your baby to do when they grow up, or just do in general. Just be a good role model. Number 4 is try new things as a parent. If one thing doesn't work for your baby, you might have to try another one. Just because you looked up on Google and you said, oh, my baby's crying, she has a rash, oh, Google says to do this. Sometimes Google's not going to work. Just because Google says it doesn't mean it's going to work. Babies are human and humans are different, so not one thing is going to work for every baby. So back to number 1, keep your patience. Make sure that you're learning as you go, because the one thing won't work every time. With me and Sav, Ariella, when she was a baby, she'd be gassy. Google says, oh, this formula works better on babies' tummies or whatever. We tried it and it didn't work, so we ended up having to go get another one. That's just an example of how trying new things will help you out. Don't listen to the internet. We live in a time where we think all the answers are right in front of us or in the palms of our hands. But let me tell you something, when I say experience is way better than anything that you can have, because like I said before, if we'd have listened to Google and we'd have just continued to keep giving her this other, I don't remember the brands of formula that I had. I just remember that when she was little, certain formula messed her stomach up, and it was like formula that we were recommended to by Google. Don't listen to it. Try new things. If a cream doesn't work, try another cream, or maybe your baby doesn't like cream. Maybe you got to try something different. Like this is the whole point that I'm going on. Do not rely on other people's advice. I guess that kind of defeats the whole purpose of this video, but it's true. Like, maybe if my advice isn't working, don't listen to me. Go try something different, and don't always use the internet. I want to stress that the internet will kind of lead you astray. Try something different, because everybody's different, and Google is a machine and not a human being. On to the next one. Number 6. This one is very important for me because I grew up very withheld, very shy, didn't like to talk to a lot of people. And this is because of who I was raised with. No disrespect to them. That's just the way that they were raised, the way that they are. So number six is important to me. Be respectful and always speak with authority around your baby, because if your baby sees that you can speak with authority but also be respected, he or she will respect you more, and in turn respect others, but also have a sense of authority behind them because this plays on good role model. If you're respectful and speak with authority, your child will grow up respectful and have a sense of authority. You don't know every baby. They could grow up shy, but they'll know what that sense of authority is because they were raised around it, and they will grow up knowing that authority can be respectful. Because see, us growing up, especially us growing up in the 90s and the 2000s, like, we always grew up, at least in my opinion, people with authority were always assholes or dirtbags or just super rude. If we can teach our kids to be respectful and have a sense of authority, we could create a whole new generation of respectful, strong-minded people who have authority and who can take charge but also respect the people that are around them. And that is very important to me because I hate somebody who has power who is just a disrespectful person. Let's stop creating that person, guys. And it all starts with us, right? Us parents. So yes, number 6 is be respectful and speak with authority, because that's what we need in our future, and that's what I wish that I had grown up with, because I wish that I had that more. I probably would have had way more opportunities given to me if I wasn't so shy. Number 7 would be always listen. Even when they can't talk, always listen, because you're being respectful and you have authority. You got to let them know that you have authority, but you can also listen. I say even when they can't talk because babies will come up to you and be like, you don't understand what they're saying. I know, but they want to talk to you. And if you, when they can't speak or when you can't understand them, push them away because you don't understand what they're saying, they're gonna not want to talk to you in the future. They're gonna be like, I'm trying to have a conversation with my parent, and he's like, what are you saying? I don't understand you. Get away from me. You sound stupid. Like, that's gonna hurt the kid's feelings. You always want to let your kid know that you're listening to them. And I know that at this point it's starting to sound like, oh, we gotta baby our kids. That's not true either. You gotta make sure that you are balanced and disciplined. The reason that I'm saying what I'm saying now is I'm talking about babies, like infantile babies. I'll do another video if you guys want on how, like, toddler age, because that's a whole different set of tips that I could give you guys too. But for now, these tips are for, just your tiny little cutie baby that just popped out. She's super fresh, the storks just dropped her off. So take that into mind. I'm not saying that when they're older and they can speak that you should do all this, because things do change as time goes. And that goes back to number 4, try new things as a parent. Eventually you're going to have to do new things as your child gets older because their brain starts to develop. But if you follow these tips that I'm giving you here as they develop, the changes won't be as drastic because you're building this kid. Remember that too. You're building this child. It's going to act according to you. Anyway, so number 7 is always listen. They need to know that they're being heard so that they can, in turn, when they grow up, feel like they can come to you no matter what. Next, number 8. This goes out to all the moms out there. The moms have a lot of problem with this. Number 8 is don't feel like you can't do anything more just because you have a baby. because that ain't true. Me and Sav, we do a whole lot of stuff. Now, if you're a single mother, that's different, but that's not to say that you can't do anything. It's just that you have to start finding out how to do things with a child. Or, you can get a babysitter or whatever. But it's not true. People say, oh, I have a kid and my life is ruined. No. You got to learn how to live with a kid. You think people that get their arms cut off, they're like, oh, my life is ruined because I got one arm. Hell no, I see people out there doing pull-ups with one arm because they adjust to it. Now, I'm not saying, well, I guess, yeah, your baby is pretty much a new arm because it's connected to you. You got to have that kid with you all the time or else you're going to go to jail because you lost your kid. Don't feel like you can't do anything because you can. It's just a little bit different, right? Because now you have to go with your child or you have to find a babysitter. But you can always do something. If you give all your time to a kid, eventually you're gonna feel smothered. You gotta make sure that you have time. So I guess the best tip for number 8 would be you can do stuff. You just have to plan now. And I feel like that's a better thing because if you didn't used to plan before, it is always a good thing to be a planner. Like, it's always good to have a book that you write your plans in. We are always doing stuff like that because we got to make sure that we keep track of what we're doing at all times. It helps out. So like if you feel like you can't do nothing, once you start doing this, it's gonna start to feel like you can't do anything because you're so busy. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna be like, damn, I have a lot of stuff to do this week because you made time for it. So a tip on top of a tip, if you feel like you can't do anything anymore, that's an excuse. Plan your stuff out and you will definitely be able to do anything and damn near everything that you want to do because you're more planned, you're more structured, and it's super dope because then you can be like, oh, hold on, let me check my planner. When people call you, hey, what are you doing this Saturday? Yeah, you know what? Let me check my planner real quick. Unfortunately, I can't kick with you from 5 to 7. I got to do this and from da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? Not only do you look cool, but you're planned and now you're doing stuff. Number 9. This is important, and I wish that I had done this more when Ari was younger, but read to them because you can speak with authority, you can be respectful, and you can be a good role model, and you can talk the way you talk, but reading to them teaches them literature because we all talk differently. We all speak our way and it's not correct, right? They need some reference of correct literature, the right way to speak, because they need to know that the way we talk isn't the way everybody talks. Not to say that the way we talk is wrong, but that I guess it's kind of messed up to say that there is a right way to talk. But there's you know what I'm saying. Literature is important. They need to learn how to read because they need to learn how to write. So reading to them will kind of give them the structure. They'll understand how to read because there's a way to read. They need to know when to stop on a period, what commas mean, things like that. And if you read to them, when they start to read, it'll be easier because they have a form of reference to go by. Oh, my dad reads this way. Oh, so that's what this comma is. That's why he stops when he reads like this. So like once they start getting into school, they'll be like, oh, that's why my dad reads like that. And that's why he's used to say things like that with an exclamation point and yada, yada, yada. Read to them when they're young. They start to remember these words that you wouldn't say regularly. That's another thing too. Like there's words in books that you wouldn't say regularly. There's sentences that are said certain ways that you wouldn't say, and they'll know them because you are taking the extra step to read to them. Super important to read to them, man. And like I said before, I wish that I'd have done it more. I don't do it as often, but my daughter reads now because we used to speak to her. I did read to her, not a lot when she was a kid, but I'm pretty sure my wife did. Everybody is on the iPad and they're reading, BRB. Like my daughter already says all that stuff. BRB. What else does she say? She says other stuff. Some Roblox talk. I don't get it. Anyway, on to number 10. Maybe the most important tip of all. Love, love, love. Okay? Love your child unconditionally, no matter what, because that's your baby. And your baby should never, ever, ever, ever hear the words, I don't love you, or you're a mistake, okay? Parents who say that type of shit just deserve to burn in hell. It makes no sense to me why you would ever treat your child that way. You should always love. Let me tell you guys a story. When my daughter was born, I was in the room and she came out. I can't even explain the feeling that I had, but instant, I was just crying uncontrollably. But not sad. I was just like so happy. So I could never imagine how a parent can say, I don't love you, you're a mistake. Like it just doesn't compute. Your kid will remember everything you say to them, but they will remember the bad way more than they'll remember the good. There's gonna be points in parenting where you're just like, you want to rip your hair out. Just remember that most of the time when you're yelling or you're getting angry, most of the time you're going to think back to what you were yelling about or what you were mad about, and you're going to be like, damn, I'm really dumb. And I'll tell you this, most of the time that I was getting mad, because I'm not, like I said in the, when we started this video, I'm not the perfect parent, and I don't know everything about parenting. I've had my experiences, I've made my mistakes, and I've learned from them. I was angry, an angry ass person before I had a kid. And just because I had a kid doesn't mean that I'm instantly gonna change. It takes time, and it did take time for me to learn how to be a good parent. And I do consider myself a good parent. I consider my wife a great parent, and I consider our daughter a really smart, awesome kid. And I do 110% believe it is because of the way that we raised her, and it is because we love her unconditionally. We show her how to be respectful. We teach her the right things. She knows what's good. She knows what's bad. She's not the perfect kid either. She makes mistakes. She goes around doing things that we don't like. But you know what though? It is not as often as I've seen some other kids. And I know, and I hate to talk shit, but there are just some parents out there who don't care. Who don't care that their kid makes it, or if their kid is good or bad. So they're just like, good and bad is very objective to each family. Is it objective or subjective? It's one of those words. Each family, good and bad, is different to them. Every kid is different. So if these tips helped you out, let me know that down in the comment section below. Make sure to hit like, make sure you subscribe. And if you have any other parenting tips, put those down in the comment section too. And if you want any other videos like this, let me know that. With all that being said, thank you for watching. This has been Videos by Kino, and we hope to catch you on the next one. Peace. So if your child grows up and it's fucking bad and you're like, stop doing this, stop doing that, you got to stop and take a look at yourself, because that's what you created.